Couldn't happen to two better people.
Thank you. I'll give it to her now. I'll be back.
Yeah, good. There we go. That's an engaged man right there.
Doing there in Utah right now. Pipes, you guys getting any new snow?
We get about anywhere from 1 to 3 inches per week right now. And sometimes when the bigger storm comes in, we got like 7. So we're going to be skiing until I think like it's possible Snowbird just stays open all the way through to, for a full year. But yeah, it's been Groundhog Day. It's like, I feel like Bill Murray of the winter that will never end, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, same here. I don't know whether to go skiing, water skiing or snow skiing,
That's right. It's a quality problem to have.
Yeah. That's one of the beauties of living in California though, Tom.
Right. Yeah. Hey, good morning.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Oh my gosh, great to see you.
Hey, Bill, we have historically wrapped this up at the half hour. We are planning to increase it, but if you have a hard stop at
I got a hard stop at like I'm 5 hours straight coaching today, like back to back to back. So I was so excited to jump in here.
We're honored to have you. So let's rock and roll, you guys, so that we can maximize our time. So welcome. You are at Atomic Team Meeting, and we are happy to have you. And today we have what I consider to be America's top real estate coach, Bill Pipes. We're just really honored to have him with us. And he's going to be talking about how to convert leads to sales. He's going to be talking about the best practices of his top clients, his coaching clients, and also just how the best folks out there, with all this talk about artificial intelligence and disintermediation, what are his best people doing to use technology as a tool instead of being disintermediated by it? So with that, Bill, take it away, buddy.
Cool. Well, I'm super stoked to have the opportunity to be able to actually be on this call. Obviously, for some of you, I'll get a chance to see you in Sacramento, PCAR, on the 25th. If you're around there, like really can't wait to see you. And you know what? It's been a really interesting run these last 60 days in the real estate market in North America. And when I look at, and Don, like you and I can go back and forth on this. I have the privilege, for those of you that don't know me, I have the privilege of coaching some of the best teams and individual agents in North America. And so I get to see things at scale. I get to see things quicker. I get transparency into markets and into the changes and the shifts that are taking place faster than most individuals because of the number and the quality and the caliber of the people that I coach. How many of you guys have noticed in the last 60 days, we saw it at the beginning of the year. We saw it into January and February, a little bit of a hiccup in the market in a good manner where the market picked up, right? And then all of a sudden here over the course of the last, I'd say 60 days, the last 30 days specifically, what are you guys noticing in your market? What is beginning to happen? What's like in the chat or, however you want to do it, however, Don, it is the best way for them to be able to communicate. I'd like to hear from them. What are you noticing for yourself personally?
Yeah, if someone wants to speak up, that's good, but
totally.
Go ahead and put it in the chat so that we can then reference it. That would be great, as well as any questions that you have.
Yeah, things are picking up, big pickup. Yeah. Inventory has dropped. Yes. My friends, there was a wonderful article that actually came out. And by the way, one of the things I'm going to lean into here today with all of you is when I look at what my belief in terms of selling is, I think that selling has evolved over the course of the last decade, the last 10 years, based upon the amount of information that a normal consumer has. It was really funny. I was in the grocery store line and I have to admit, I bought an In Touch magazine. Right. And so for some of you guys know In Touch, right? And what grabbed me was the article that said, what really happened to Jamie Foxx? I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab that. I haven't bought one in a long time. Once upon a time, 10, 15, 20 years ago, our primary mode of information that we actually got prior to the internet was through newspaper, through media on the television, right? and through word of mouth. Well, obviously with the advent of, and I'm talking about the internet like it's like some, old thing, but it really is fairly new. And especially social media, the level of intelligence, well, let's not even call it intelligence, the level of information that's coming at consumers. And when I say consumers, I want you to insert buyers or sellers into this conversation. The level of information that consumers have at their fingertips to be able to actually analyze and create a narrative around what's going on in the real estate market has gone through the roof. It's increased exponentially, right? Whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, which is a giant, coupled with the normal like searches on Google, and then the normal media outlets of CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Fox Business, etc. There is so much information and so much access to information that a consumer has that they are much more informed than they have been before. How many of you guys have noticed that about the millennials, the millennial buyers, that entire group, is that they're just like, Brett, 20 years ago, we got our information. The reason I bring up In Touch is because my girlfriend said, why are you getting that? Can't you just go on the internet to see what's going on with everyone? And I'm like, I'm a little old school, Matthew. I just grabbed it, right? And then I gave it to my daughter, right? And she's like, what is this? I'm like, it's called a magazine, right? This is what we used to actually get the gossip from with the National Enquirer. I remember my grandmother had the National Enquirer, and I'll date myself on that. Now check this out. Why is this entire conversation important? Well, with great knowledge, a lot of information, it's not always a good thing. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. There's a wonderful quote that says, drink deep or drink not the Peruvian springs. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing, right? And so you have a lot of people, buyers and sellers and consumers right now, that have a false narrative of what's going on in the market. And it's not that they're dumb, and it's not that they're stupid. It's just that their compass is off based upon where they're getting their information. Now, here's what I want, Megan, you guys to write down. In today's world, our job as salespeople, is to identify the narrative that our clients have, and through repetition and follow-up, to be able to shift and control the narrative that is more accurate, more based upon truth and reality. Our job as salespeople now, because of all of the abundance of information, is to be able to identify the narrative that our buyers and sellers have, to be able to actually meet them where they are, not to make them wrong, and then be able to actually shift and control the narrative to be based upon the truth of the data, not the drama of the market. Does that make total sense, guys? Okay. It is what I call, Patrick, this is my style of selling that I finally have been able to actually come up with the name for it. It's education-based, data-driven selling. It is education-based, data-driven selling. Where TD, the game is I use the data to educate my clients who are motivated so that they can make intelligent decisions based upon their goals, plans, dreams, wishes, and desires. Now, why is this important? Well, okay. The old school angular selling is gone. And when Don and Tom asked me to come in here and to be able to share what my top agents are doing, they are following this exact process, right? They begin a relationship with this question, right? And when I say they begin a relationship, that could be the relationship. I believe that all sales is the building or breaking of relationships. Would you guys agree with me on that? Okay. Right. It is either with the actions and the activities that I'm taking, there's either building a relationship, right, where they trust me, they respect me, and we have rapport, or it's breaking a relationship where they don't trust me, there is no respect, or it's dwindling, or I'm losing rapport at that point. So with that being said, I believe that if you want to convert more leads, the first step, please write this down, is I've got to meet my client where they are in their perception. Melissa, I've got to meet my client where they are. As I go through, let's say, for example, I have an online lead script or online lead that comes in. I'm going through my script and I see here, and thank you for actually registering for our site. I notice that and I go through that LP Mama conversation, right? Well, one of the questions I may ask is this, is I'm curious, what have you heard or do you believe is occurring in our local real estate market here in Salt Lake City? Like, I start with that question. What's the purpose of that question? Well, the purpose of that question is for me to understand where their narrative is about the market, what their I call it their BS. You may want to write this down. BS, Matthew, is not their bull, you know what, right? Their BS, Kristen, is their belief system. I've got to understand their belief system of what is going on in the market to be able to appropriately meet them where they are. Now, understand something, Amir. Meeting them where they are for me does not mean I'm agreeing with them that that's what's going on in the market. I'm just validating that that's the belief that they have. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Now let me talk to that and why that's so critical, right? Have you ever had someone make you wrong for your belief before? Yes or no, right? Where you had a certain belief, something that you thought, and someone came at you in a either mild or aggressive tone and basically said, no, that's not how it is. I'm going to tell you how it is. And this is how it is. How many of you guys have ever had a conversation, an argument with someone of that manner before? Raise your hand, say aye. Okay. And what did you do when that person started to disagree with you, started to disapprove of your BS? What did you do? Got it, Jackie. I love it, Jackie. Jackie went like this. Okay. We 100% push back, right? And see, if you're going to convert more leads over to appointments and more appointments over to sales, right? It's write down, it's Aikido, not karate. It's Aikido, not karate. Aikido is I use that person, I meet them where they are, and I use their energy to be able to actually adjust them and win the battle. Does that make sense? Karate is I'm attacking forward front. So I'm going to meet them like an Aikido master where they are, right? Find out what's going on. I'm curious, what have you heard is going on in a local market? And then I'm going to ask him a second question. That second question is this. I was wondering, now notice I'm prefacing these direct questions with, I'm curious and I was wondering, because it softens the directness of that question, right? Remember, your language can create reality, creates resistance, or creates connection. Then I say, I was wondering, where did you get that information? That tells me how strong their BS is. I want to know, number one, what the BS is, their belief system about the market. And then number two, I want to know how strong their BS, their belief system is. Does that make total sense, guys? Okay. Now, and here's the key, and I want you to write this down. Come from curiosity, not from judgment. Jackie, I'm just curious about that. I really am. I want to know where it is, right? And you've got to recognize they're not wrong. They're not unintelligent. They're just misinformed. They're not wrong. They're not unintelligent. They're just misinformed. And my job, this is my belief as a salesperson, is to, please write this down, find the people who are motivated through prospecting, which I recommend that you're doing 1 to 2 hours a day. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Like right now, if you're not doing 2 hours of prospecting every single day, this market's going to chew you up, spit you out, and kick you to the curb, because it takes a lot more buyers. If we talk buyers, a lot more conversations to find the buyer who is motivated and who's willing to listen to the truth and is willing to play the game at the level that it needs to be played. Right. Okay. When I say willing to play the game at the level that it needs to be played, what I mean is that they have an ability to go 10, 15% above ask price. What pipes? We're not there yet. It's coming. Mark my words. Okay. There are currently markets right now. Look at me, guys. I need this to sink in with you. Okay. Is it okay if I hit you guys in the throat a little bit today? Yes or no? Okay. Because here's my belief. The stronger I am with you in this conversation, the more we sweat a little bit today, the less we bleed out there on the battlefield together. Okay. So check this out. Okay. If you check this out. Q3 and Q4 of 2023 is going to look a lot like 2021. And I want you to write that down. Q3 and Q4 of 2023 is going to look almost identical to 2021. Mark my words. And if you remember 2021, were you having to Like, yes, people were calling in, but there's a lot of competition. Some buyers couldn't compete. Some sellers were having to actually find properties and they couldn't put their home on the market because they couldn't find other properties, et cetera. It's coming right now. If I go and I look at some of my great coaching clients, Philadelphia market went from about 18 to 20,000 average number of homes for sale, right? Down to 2,268 right now, okay, in 4 counties. Montclair, New Jersey, right, where Chris Lane sales right now, average number of offers coming in is 18 offers, right? And it's selling for anywhere from 15 to 20%, 21% above ask price right now, right? Okay. We can go to, like, I can start pointing out these marketplaces and I'm watching it spread like a virus across the entire country right now. All right. I have a buddy of mine in San Diego said, holy shit, man, this $1.something million house just sold for $260,000 above ask price. The shit's coming, guys. Okay. It's here. And you're going to actually, I want you to keep you ahead. But here's the challenge. Do the buyers believe that this market is the way that it is right now? Or do they believe that the market is still one where they have an advantage and they're going to wait and that's going to get better for them and interest rates are going to come down? What do you think? You guys tell me. What do they think, guys?
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what we're seeing right now. Here's what I'm hearing. Let me look at the chat really quick. Home prices between 4 and 6 are getting multiple offers and in 5 days or less again. Okay. Yeah. So here's most buyers are buying into the media hype. They have what's called a false narrative. Most sellers may have a false narrative as well too. And our job, once we meet them where they are, the second part, if you want to convert at a higher level, is this: write down, educate, inform, and shift the narrative. Educate and inform and shift the narrative, Matthew. Matthew, you and I have been on multiple webinars before, man. I mean, like, I love seeing you here and just soaking up and growing and everything. You've heard me say this before. I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it until people begin to use it all the time. And that's this. Once I know where they are, then I say this: hey, Mario, let me share with you the reality of what is actually occurring in our local market today. And I'm going to deliver it just that way. Let me share with you the reality of what is actually occurring in our local market today. The emphasis is on reality. The emphasis is on actually, right? Because I'm basically saying, I totally understand, Don, that you think the market is here, but I'm going to give you, based upon data, and educate you. Here's what is truly going on. And then I go through, by the way, Yoakum, would you guys like for me to send you the exact script on this, send it over to Don, and Don can get it out to you guys? Would you guys like that? Yes or no? Okay.
That'd be awesome. We'll post it at Atomic Team Meeting.
Beautiful. I see you guys feverishly writing, right? And I appreciate that, because when you write something, you actually remember more of it. But then what I do is this. Then I need to go into, and I need to show the 90-day trend lines for the following 4 things. Number 1, how many homes are for sale, i.e. standing inventory, where we were 90 days ago and where we are today. Then I'm going to go into average price per square feet, or, how much prices have appreciated or depreciated over the course of the last 90 days. Now, I will share something with you guys right now. There was a wonderful article that came out from my buddy, David Childress. Actually, it came from Steve Harney, who is the true owner of Keeping Current Matters. Dave Childress is the face of Keeping Current Matters. By the way, do you guys subscribe? Do you watch? Do you listen? Do you soak in Keeping Current Matters? Yes or no? Okay. Hey guys, please write this down. I need to spend 15 to 20 minutes a day as a professional salesperson studying the market, both my local market and also my the larger national market. You need to be, Matthew, in Keeping Current Matters every single day. You need to be going to, here's my resources, guys, Housing Wire every single day. You need to be going into Mortgage Bankers Association. You need to be listening to like any podcast that you can potentially get your hands on, looking for Zillow's new reports, looking for Redfin's. I know it sounds weird. They have great economists, right? And I'm going into and I'm studying that. Why? Because I cannot educate, I cannot control the narrative for somebody else if I do not have the data to control the narrative with myself. Does that listen to what I just said? You've got to have that data to be able to turn around and to be able to say this. Watch this. Hey, Coach Byrd, I can totally appreciate the fact that you want to wait till next year. Can I share with you what makes me a little bit nervous about that? And Coach Byrd says yes. I say, well, hey, Randy, what specifically causes you to believe that the market is going to be more favorable for you in 6 to 12 months than it is right now? And Randy says, well, I think that interest rates are going to come down, right? And I say, you're absolutely correct, Randy. Interest rates will come down. And as they come down, what do you think that will do to the amount of people that are out looking for properties? Well, that'll go up. You know how supply and demand works, Randy. Now, Randy, let me share with you some data that I think you'll find very interesting. Now, I will have this data because I've been doing my 15 to 20 minutes of research. Does that make sense, guys? I say, now here's really quick, Don, here's the data for you guys that I want you guys to grab, okay? In the month of February, home prices increased nationally by 1.6%. 1.6% nationally. In the month of March, according to CoreLogic's HPI housing price indicator index, housing price index, they are projected to, they don't have all the data yet, they're projected to have gone up 0.8% nationally. Kristen, that is a 2.4% increase in home prices over 2 months. If you play that out over the course of a year, 2.4%, that's 1.2. That's a 13 to 14% national increase in home prices. If I have that data, I can say, Randy, let me show this to you. Do you realize that you're going to see prices potentially increase if we hold this trend? And oh, by the way, the Fed is projected to have a 25% chance of a rate drop in June and higher in July if they don't do it in June. By the way, that's called the Fed swaps number, right? Okay. The Fed swaps are interest rate swaps that actually project like a futures market what's going to take place. I have all this data and I go, Randy, so lower interest rates, but 12% higher in prices potentially. Are you willing to pay more and potentially get less? I just use data to educate to move him forward. Does that make sense, guys? Okay.
Absolutely.
That is the game, my friends, right? That the top salespeople are doing, because the consumer, i.e. the buyer or seller, is infinitely more intelligent than they have been, but infinitely more informed. I'm not going to use intelligent because informed doesn't always mean intelligent. Informed means they could have wrong information. And my job now, by the way, guys, one last bit. You're going to need to have this conversation with them, not one, them being a buyer or seller, not one time, not 2 times, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, but on average, 6 conversations before it sinks in. That came straight from Johns Hopkins University Psychology and Psychiatry Department, Neuroscience Department, that says we need to have new information and data to switch our perception. We need to hear it 6 times. That's why every time you're following up with the lead, right, you're having the same conversation, but you're bringing new data and you're bringing new data. And eventually those wheels and gears will click, right? And you'll offset all the other bullshit that they're actually hearing from the media, from the YouTubers, from social media, from their friends, etc. Okay. Does that help, guys? Yes or no? Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
So
your job.
Phil, let's put a bow on this, because I know you've got to run here in a minute. First of all, love education-based, data-driven selling, right? According to NAR, the number 1 reason why people choose us is due to trust. Number 2 is local market knowledge. And that's what I'm hearing you say, Bill, is you've got to become a market expert.
Totally.
You've got to know the industry trends on a national level, but you need to know the data on a local level. And would you agree, though, when you're communicating with the buyer or seller, it is important, though, don't get into a pissing match with them.
No.
In other words, it's not what you think versus what I think. It's what the market is indicating to us, and I'm interpreting it for you, but it's not my opinion, or
I speak
don't-
about, I love this, Don. I speak about the market as if it's a living entity. What the market is telling us, what the market is saying, what the market has given us as feedback. I honestly like, and the great agents that I work with, we speak about the market like it's a person, right? Right. That it is a human entity that is giving us information, giving us data, telling us what's going on, etc. Right. So that's number one. Now in NLP and neuro linguistic programming, there's these things called quotes, right? And quotes will actually, they're another way of relating to it is it's called a higher reference or higher source reference. Okay. If I say well, you know what, values have increased 1.6% in the month of February and 0.8% in the month of April or March, that's one way to do it. If I say Keeping Current Matters, which is the number one most reliable resource in the real estate space right now, has said, or I say Case Shiller has referenced, or the National Association of Realtors or Mortgage Bankers Association, from all the research that you're doing, you want to quote those higher sources, because what it does is it takes it, Mario and Jackie, out of your opinion. If it occurs as your opinion, you're screwed. Because the minute it sounds like your opinion, they go, yep, it's a salesperson trying to get me to do what they want, which is to get a commission.
That's right.
But if I reference these higher sources, I speak about the market as if it's an entity giving us feedback. And I use these phrases when they push back a little bit. I understand. That's valid. That's a valid concern. I can appreciate that. If I was in your shoes, I'd be thinking the same thing. That's valid. That's a valid concern, right? I understand. I can appreciate that. I'm using that Aikido-esque approach where I am meeting them where they are, validating it, and then offering a subsequent secondary, more reliable opinion at that point. But if you come at them from an argumentative or debating, you're going to create resistance and they're never going to buy in, or it'll be very difficult for them to. Okay.
Great stuff. So Bill, I know you got to run, but will you just take 1 minute to tell us about what you're going to deliver on May 25th in Roseville?
I'm going to deliver the most relevant scripts, dialogues, the entire process in terms of how to be able to actually convert leads over. I'm going to work with you in terms of what the top agents are doing right now and delivering to you my first time ever 7-step process to 7 figures, guys. Like, I have cracked the code. Somewhat, it's always changing, right? But I've cracked the code and helped 22 people now at this point break from $100, $200, $300,000 in income to over 7 figures in top line GCI. I get to share that with you guys. Brent's always the one that I save my really good stuff for. So it's going to be twofold. It's 2 hours. The first hour is going to be all on conversion techniques, going deeper in this conversation. The second hour is going to be like, what is the 7-step process to 7 figures, so that you can begin to actually rip off and duplicate it. If you're already, Andrea, at 7 figures, it's a game of how do I add 7 figures more on top of that, right? So I'm going to share with you from a coaching standpoint what you need to do if that's something that you want. Here's what I believe, Don. Here's what I believe, Tom. Every damn person that's going to be in real estate, if you're going to play the game, you should be playing it for 7 figures, right? And if you go, Coach, I don't want to make 7 figures, I want to make 5, awesome. Or I'll make 500,000. Let's make 500,000 working 3 days a week. You know what I mean? So like, but that's the game that I'm playing, that I play for, how I coach too, etc. And I'm going to share both those with you guys. I appreciate
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
you guys to register for that, brentgoes.com, upcoming events, you'll find it there.
I'm going to
Bill,
jam,
thank you so
guys.
much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
If you
Coach.
ever
That's
need me,
awesome.
please reach out, coachpipes@gmail.com, or excuse me, you can hit my website, Coach Pipes, right? Okay, Coach Pipes, and just Google it at www.coachpipes.com, or follow me on Instagram. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I wish you the most success. Thanks, guys. Peace out.
Thank you, sir. All right, you guys, that was fun. What I heard was meet our clients where we are, and then help educate them with third-party data sources, right? And I have found, like I said, is that you've got to be really careful to not make that an emotionally combative conversation. It's, in my mind, it's pretty pragmatic. It's, well, this is what the market is indicating, right? And as Bill said, treat that data like a third party, and so that it is less emotionally charged. Right now, people are moving, especially now, because of life events, which could be stressful to them. And so we want to bring some sense and stability to their lives, and not add to the drama or emotion. But does anybody want to share a takeaway from the conversation today before we wrap up? Jackie, what did you hear that you feel is relevant? You're muted though.
I love the actual scripts around, what to say. I think that was really powerful. I do think it's so important to come from curiosity and validate them. And I just love those scripts. I mean, that is easy peasy to be able to deliver. And I think it's so crucial that we are data driven, because he's right. If you come out at it with an opinion, you're going to get the wall, and you're a salesman, and I don't really care about your opinion. But if you come from data, and I think as a market expert, and it's really not difficult to find those data points that you can memorize and track, because anybody can say prices are going up. Anybody can say interest rates are going up. Anybody can, but we're not anybody. We need to be data driven. So I loved it. Awesome.
Yeah. And the more specific that you can be about the data, I think the better. So when you cite the source, and also let's say that you're going to a listing appointment in a particular area, then know what the list to sale ratio is in that zip code, right? Bill was talking about different markets. We're in some markets, we're going over full price right now, right? So how important a conversation would it be with the buyer that thinks that they can now negotiate, and they happen to be in one of those markets that's selling for 104.7% of list price right now. So be prepared with your data so that you can have those conversations. Now, that being said, you guys, remember, it's always arm yourself for nuclear war. If all you need is a pea shooter, go with your pea shooter, right? So we're not looking for a battle. We just want to be prepared for one, right? All right, well, that's a wrap for today. We are, you guys, we have been very prompt in wrapping this up in 30 minutes. One of the things that we've talked about as in our leadership team is that we'd like to offer this in a little longer version if you feel that it would be valuable. So we're planning to extend this to 45 minutes. Bill only had 30 because he's got another coaching client to attend to, but we're prepared and willing to make this available to you for 45 minutes if that would be of value. So we'd love to hear from you about who you want to hear from. Of course, Bill is a ball of energy, so hope you enjoyed that. But if there's other people that you'd like to hear, we can probably get them. We've got a fantastic group, and we have some influence, and we're willing to ask. We'll pick up the phone, especially Tom Dave.
Hey, all right. Okay, we've got Freedom Friday, and we've got Charles Boyette. He's going to share the 3 steps to financial freedom. So that's this Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks, y'all, for being here. Have a great day. And now we got our inspiration, time to put in the perspiration. Thanks, Don. See you guys.
Thank you.